Just wrapped up our 3-match week. We had NDSU on Tuesday, Omaha on Thursday, St. Thomas on Saturday. Always a really gnarly week when you got to play 3 matches over 5 days. And we turn our attention this week to South Dakota. We have 1 match on Thursday at South Dakota in Vermilion, but then we've got a bye on Saturday, which will be a really nice chance for us to get some extra rest and recovery after a lot of volleyball over the last few weeks. But really excited. Again, we continue to get better in certain phases, and there's certain areas that we continue to need to grow. But we had a really nice defensive performance in all 3 of our matches. Izzy McCormick continues to be a beast in the floor defensive phase for us in almost every single match that she's played in thus far. And then we had Olivia Edlund, who had her first 2 career starts against Omaha and St. Thomas on Thursday and Saturday, and did a phenomenal job. Led our team in hitting efficiency on the weekend. So she'll be joining us in a second, but really excited for Eddie and the production that she had over the course of the week. But yep, turning our focus this week to South Dakota on Thursday in our 1 match, and a chance to take it to them after we went 5 at home with them the first time we played.
You mentioned that there are phases that you guys want to improve on here. Is there one that stands out more so than the others? What do you guys need to do better on the second half of the schedule here?
Yeah, I think offensively, specifically in out-of-system situations, when we're hitting on high ball situations, we can be a little bit cleaner there. We're a little higher error than we'd like to be. And then in transition, so not when we're hitting off of a service receive pass, but when we're hitting off of a dig, we're not quite as terminal as we'd like to be. We're actually doing a nice job staying clean, but we've got to be able to score points more. And so developing our toolkit as attackers in both of those 2 situations, where we can either score points or at least create some chaos, that'll give us some better opportunities later in the rally, would be really beneficial for us.
How do you become more terminal? Strength, angles, what is it?
Yeah, I think part of it is just like continuing to take care of our bodies so that we're able to go up and jump high and hit hard like we were in August. But the other part is developing our range, our ability to hit different shots. We found that if a certain blocker takes away a certain shot, or they stack their defenders in a certain area of the court, then it gets way harder for us to score. And so if we're able to hit to different areas of the court with different paces and different speeds, then we're going to start to open some things up for us in that way.
Is it the hope that some of these inexperienced younger players that you've got playing some of these hitting positions, that's something they just pick up on as some natural college experience gets under their belt?
A little bit of everything, right? And the reality is, for some of our younger athletes, they didn't necessarily have to develop other shots during their high school and their prep careers, because they could get away with just being taller or more athletic than the people they were playing against. And at the college level, everybody's really tall and everybody's really athletic, so we've got to develop that toolkit. I think the other piece is just continuing to refine and get the reps in that space. And so when we're in practice every week, we have a shot of the week, and that shot is a bonus point. So if you can hit that shot and score on it, you get 2 points in whatever game or drill we're happen to be playing. And so continuing to incentivize behavior that we know ultimately is going to end up with us scoring more points in matches is going to be good.
Obviously, this last stretch has kind of been tough for you guys. Looking forward, obviously, rather than looking back, is a huge mental factor. But what are some other ways that you keep your team motivated during a time like this?
Yeah, I think for us, it's been really awesome to see how engaged the team continues to be, despite how last night's match happened to go. We come in, and our practices on Wednesday and Friday were as engaged and as intense as any practice we've had any time this year. And so the team's doing a really nice job of that on their own. We talk a lot about being great at the end of the season and putting ourselves in a spot to be great in postseason play. And I think that's the other part of it for us as well. The reality is that 6 teams are going to make the conference tournament this year. And St. Thomas is not eligible for postseason play. So if St. Thomas is in the top 6, then the top 7 teams are going to make the postseason. And so for us, knowing that the 2 teams that are also fighting for that last spot are Kansas City and Oral Roberts, and we're all within 1 game of each other, and they've already played each other twice, and we get to play both of them again, is also really motivating. We get to go out and be really good against those 2 teams and start to play really hard against teams that we know, like South Dakota, we get to play again, and we went 5 with them. And Denver, we get to play again, and we went 5 with them. And we get to play South Dakota State, who we went 4 with. And so we got some chances to have a little revenge tour against teams we know we've already competed well against.
Kind of looking back on some of those losses as a coach, are there similarities in those losses, or are they all kind of different, varying from team to team?
Yeah, every match is a little different. Sometimes people have a good match, or people are a little less than great in certain matches. Other times we see the impact. Like Denver, when we played them, they had 53 attack and service errors against us because they just chose to come at us really hard in those 2 phases. South Dakota is always way cleaner, but they're way gnarlier from a defensive perspective. And so each game is going to have a slightly different flavor. But for us, also knowing that, the reality was, we weren't going 5 with these teams in previous seasons, and now we're competing with them point for point until the end of the match. And so knowing that we're right there and that we want to keep stacking the good and keep pounding the pavement in those areas is really encouraging.
What's it going to take to get you guys out of this streak?
Yeah, I mean, just keep doing the things that we've been doing that allow us to have some success, but also to clean up in the phases that we know we can grow. Like, we know we can be better offensively in certain areas. We know we've let up a little bit from the service line relative to where we were at the beginning of the season. And so there's no secret to this, right? Volleyball is volleyball, and the game is played the way that it's played. And so if we can continue to clean up those areas, then we're going to put ourselves in a better spot against these opponents.